such as the corner of West 59th Street and 7th Avenue, not a single taxi was moving. The only cars in sight were stranded, half buried in the snow. The virtual moonscape, which Manhattan was that Monday morning, prompted the concierge at Juan Diego's hotel to seek special assistance for the handicapped man. This was not a day for a cripple to hail a cab, or risk riding in one. The concierge had prevailed upon a limousine company, not a very good one, to take Juan Diego to Queens, though there were conflicting reports regarding whether John F. Kennedy International Airport was open or not. On TV, they were saying that JFK was closed, yet Juan Diego's Cathay Pacific flight to Hong Kong was allegedly departing on time. As much as the concierge doubted this, he was certain that the flight would be delayed if not cancelled. He had nonetheless indulged the anxious and crippled guest. Juan Diego was agitated about getting to the airport on time, though no flights were departing or had departed in the aftermath of the storm. It was not Hong Kong he cared about. That was a detour Juan Diego could do without. But a couple of his colleagues had persuaded him that he shouldn't go all the way to the Philippines without stopping to see Hong Kong en route. What was there to see? Juan Diego had wondered. While Juan Diego didn't understand what air miles actually meant or how they were calculated, he understood that his Cathay Pacific flight was free. His friends had also persuaded him that first class on Cathay Pacific was something he must experience, something else he was supposed to see, apparently. Juan Diego thought that all this attention from his friends was because he was retiring from teaching. What else could explain why his colleagues had insisted on helping him organize this trip? But there were other reasons. Though he was young to retire, he was indeed handicapped, and his close friends and colleagues knew he was taking medication for his heart. "I'm not retiring from writing," he'd assured them. Juan Diego had come to New York for Christmas at the invitation of his publisher. It was merely the teaching he was leaving, Juan Diego said, though for years the writing and the teaching had been inseparable. Together they'd been his entire adult life. And one of his former writing students had become very involved with what Juan Diego now thought of as an aggressive takeover of his trip to the Philippines. This former student, Clark French, had made Juan Diego's mission in Manila, as Juan Diego had thought of it for years, Clark's mission. Clark's writing was as assertive or forced as he'd been about taking over his former teacher's trip to the Philippines, or so Juan Diego thought. Yet Juan Diego had done nothing to resist his former student's well-intentioned assistance. He didn't want to hurt Clark's feelings. Besides, it wasn't easy for Juan Diego to travel, and he'd heard that the Philippines could be difficult, even dangerous. A little over-planning wouldn't hurt, he'd decided. Before he knew it, a tour of the Philippines had materialized. His mission in Manila had given rise to side trips and distracting adventures. He worried that the purpose of his going to the Philippines had been compromised, though Clark French would have been quick to tell his former teacher that the zeal to assist him was born of Clark's admiration for what a noble cause, for so long, had inspired Juan Diego to take this trip in the first place. As a very young teenager in Oaxaca, Juan Diego had met an American draft dodger. The young man had run away from the United States to evade the draft for the Vietnam War. The draft dodger's dad had been among the thousands of American soldiers who died in the Philippines in World War II, but not on the Bataan Death March, and not in the intense battle for Corregidor. Juan Diego didn't always remember the exact details. The American draft dodger didn't want to die in Vietnam. Before he died, the young man told Juan Diego, he wanted to visit the Manila American Cemetery and Memorial to pay his respects to his slain father. But the draft dodger didn't survive the misadventure of his running away to Mexico. He had died in Oaxaca. Juan Diego had pledged to take the trip to the Philippines for the dead draft dodger. He would make the journey to Manila for him. Yet Juan Diego had never known the young American's name. The anti-war boy had befriended Juan Diego and his seemingly retarded little sister Lupe.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.